Alright guys, welcome back to Roxham TV and also welcome back to Jam Crypto, whichever platform you are watching on. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are. As for Bitcoin, it's kind of another more sideways up action, like we are consolidating a little bit. Honestly, like price action wise, not much has changed ever since our live stream yesterday. Of course, like we have been doing deep analysis on the Bitcoin's price, and also we have been doing on-chain. It almost feels like we are really building up that momentum and really squeezing inside this triangle that I've been drawing for basically for days to come. It almost feels like we have a huge storm to come, whether it's a big leg up or a big leg down. The reason why I would say this is because we have the FOMC meeting coming out literally in less than 10 hours. So volatility is really building up. We also have the US versus China, I mean, not US versus China, but US and China deal coming out. We have the confirmation on 30th of October, which means it's literally tomorrow. So there's so much going on. Today's agenda, like if you guys have been watching my show, I like to start with TA and then move on to on-chain analysis. And then we're also going to do some news section because Bitcoin's becoming such a macro asset right now. We are worth like multi-trillion dollars. So it's really worth to look into the US and the China deal. And another thing I really want to dive deeper into today's show is actually AI trading, because I have been testing that out myself like this past 2 days. I covered this on Roxham TV. Actually, like I think a week ago about Alpha Arena, which they took basically the most popular LLMs we have seen. So that include ChatGPT, that include Grok. I'm sure a lot of crypto Twitter folks have used Grok before. So what they did is that they used the most popular LLMs, give them 10,000 USDC and see how they perform and how they trade. And very interestingly, I have actually been profiting from using DeepSeek, because looking at the chart, looking at the return of DeepSeek is generating like up to like 23,000. So they managed to turn 10,000 USDC into 23,000 USDC from DeepSeek alone. So in just like less than 2 weeks. So that's really impressive. So we're going to look into that. Of course, the LLM that generate the worst return is Gemini and ChatGPT, because how I would describe these LLM is more like they are really good with writing stuff, but when it comes to trading, I don't know, like the LI speaks itself. But first of all, when we dive in the show, of course, we have to look at the Bitcoin chart. So starting from the shorter time frame, from the hourly candles, and slowly build up the case to a daily and also to the weekly, so higher time frame. So okay, we have the the trend line drew yesterday, and actually, well, I drew this days ago. We have this like support and resistance range, which I drew between 114 to 115. And Bitcoin is really trying to fight a get back into this range. And looks like yesterday we struggled a little bit, because if you actually watch Monday's show, I mentioned that okay, Bitcoin had a really nice pump because over the weekend we have a better CPI report, actually better than expected, and we also have the confirmation from Donald Trump that okay, he's actually not taxing China for 100% or something ridiculous like 155% tariff rate. So that's really nice, a nice little pump over the weekend. And on Monday, what I told my viewers is that the RSI is getting a little crazy, like close to 82 on the RSI. So it makes sense to have a little correction. That's why I drew this range between 114 to 115. So Bitcoin is really trying to get back into the range. But one thing I noticed, which I like, is that we have rising support level. So since basically 103, so 103, and then we test that as a level support back in 23rd of October. So we quickly bounce back up. So that is a nice support that I'm seeing. However, let's also pull up the hour side. One thing, okay, hour side is yesterday I drew it this upward trend, upward support on the hour side. We deviate a little bit, but right now I just check. We are actually above the hour side, so that's another good sign I'm seeing, at least on the short time frame, at least on the hourly candle. Again, momentum is really building up here. And yesterday, in the past 24 hours, what happened is that we have another huge liquidation event. So there's a total of $473 million being liquidated. Most of that is long position. So $337 million got wrecked from long position. Another one, $135 million short positions got wrecked. So this is one reason that we are kind of seeing this correction in the past 24 hours, at least like in the short time frame. All right, another one we are watching very closely is of course the FOMC meeting. So again, it's happening in 9 hours. And if we scroll down and watch the probabilities, so 99%, actually 99.9%, close to 100% of people think that we're going to get a 25 basis point cut. And since it's just like, less than 10 hours before the FOMC meeting. So this pretty much set in tone. So we're going to get a 25 basis point. But what we're watching in the next 10 hours, or basically half a day, what we are watching is Jerome's Powell tone. So we know that 25 basis point is almost guaranteed. But what I want to pay close attention is that, is he going to mention anything about QT coming to an end? We have a confirmation from Jerome Powell, but last time he mentioned is that, okay, we're going to end QT for maybe another month to come. But if basically in 10 hours, we have confirmation that, okay, maybe QT is going to come to an end, like sooner than later, that's really bullish for the market overall, of course. But however, if his tone kind of switched a little bit, if he mentioned there's only going to be like one rate cut for the rest of 2025, which means we're not going to get a rate cut in December, then the market's going to tank. So yeah, as a trader, like we need to be prepared for both scenarios. So that's why we're doing this type of analysis. Okay, let's also hop onto the daily charts to slowly build up the case as well. All right, as for the daily candle for Bitcoin, like I'm really curious. So this rising support line, I'm really curious if Bitcoin managed to stay above. So like even dipping to like 111, like that's I'm not too concerned if we have like a correction or even like a dip below slightly. Like what I'm watching here is if the daily candle managed to kiss the rising support level and we manage to bounce back up. So what I'm eyeing here is that whether the daily candle is wicking, like touching the rising support trend, or we actually close below the rising support trend. So that's going to make a huge difference in terms of the daily chart. So again, like momentum is really building up. And if we look at SPX, so S&P 500, it's breaking another new all-time high. So it's making me a little bit jealous, like why Bitcoin is not doing such thing. Why we have to, when we do analysis, I like to look at other macro asset as well. So S&P, as we know, is highly correlated with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is becoming such a massive asset. It makes sense to look at macro. That's why on Roxham TV, we are adding macro analysis, we are adding geopolitics, just to have a more comprehensive understanding of where the market is heading to. So S&P and Bitcoin, they have a 0.8 correlation, so very highly correlated. what happened yesterday is that, okay, we saw another new all-time high for S&P. So I would say it's only a matter of time that Bitcoin follows through. And we do have a lot of macro tailwind, like coming for Bitcoin price. For example, like we know the global liquidity is unlocking, and I think I'm not crazy to say that there's only room for the central banks around the world to cut rates, because this is not only the US. We know Europe is cutting rate. We know Canada is cutting rate. We know China has been cutting rates like for a long time, basically. So global liquidity is coming. And one thing that's very interesting is that when I talk to TradFi people, so the TradFi folks, they would find the thesis that how us crypto people, we really stick to the 4-year cycle, because there is a thesis in terms of Bitcoin price that we have already seen the cycle top on 6th of October. Obviously, how we got this number is basically based on the 4-year cycle. If we also hop onto the overall trend, so let me zoom out a little bit and hop onto the weekly and put on the log scale. So the magical number for Bitcoin is 1,064 days. So how we got 6th of October is basically taking the cycle bottom to the cycle top, and we usually get this magical number of 1,064 days. So people are saying, okay, we have already seen the cycle top, which is 126,000 per BTC. But when I talked to the TradFi people, they were like, wait, why do you believe this 4-year cycle so much? There's only like 3 cycles that play out, and then there's so much macro tailwind. And Bitcoin is literally the talk in all the in Wall Street, in TradFi. So like when I talk to them, they feel like they can't really wrap their head around. And again, as I keep talking about the group of people, there are 3 different groups of people. So the first group is we have seen the cycle top, so 126K. And the second group is okay, maybe we're going to stretch that out a little bit, because even when it comes to a 4-year cycle, there are different calculations. So if we use the cycle top to cycle top, we will stretch that out a little bit, like from maybe to like 1,477 days, something like that. So if we do that calculation instead, we're going to get a cycle top in Q4 this year. So November or December, something around that. That's the second group of people. And then we also have the third group of people, is that Bitcoin is becoming so big, is the macro asset already. Basically, it's completely tied with the stock market. So maybe this cycle is different. And I'm seeing in the comments already, some people are siding with the group 3, so Bam Crypto. All right, so that's the tailwind. Like if you completely believe that, okay, we are very different. Myself, personally, I'm siding with group 2. Okay, let's also hop on to the weekly. So slightly building up the KCM. As for the weekly, one thing I have to, okay, let me go ahead and remove all the drawings. One thing I can't ignore, let's pull out the RSI as well, is the bearish divergence that we have been building up since March 2024. So let's also draw the trend line on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's price going up, but the RSI is not catching up. So that's actually concerning. But again, what this shows is that Bitcoin is, again, like we are no longer very early when it comes to the Bitcoin market, like when it comes to Bitcoin price. And obviously, it looks like we're at the later stage of the bull run, but it doesn't mean that we're going to crash to 50%, so 70 something thousand BTC. That's not what it means, because at the end of the day, we have been building up this momentum for months, since March 2024. So this can definitely play out longer. it just means that, okay, the top, it doesn't look like it's in, but it just means that we are at the later stage of the bull run. So in order for me to flip bullish, like completely bullish, so siding with the group 3 people like Bam Bam Crypto. So in order for me to flip my narrative, what I need to see is Bitcoin actually break out of this bearish RSI, break out of this trend line, so that I could call, okay, the 4-year cycle is no longer intact. We don't need to worry about another prolonged bear market. But right now, this is not reflecting on my chart. So again, I still think the 4-year cycle is intact. Maybe want to see a cycle top in November or December. But like as long as we're still below this RSI, I still happen to think that the 4-year cycle is still intact. But one way or another, like at some point, the 4-year cycle is going to be broken. But is it as soon as 2025? I need some evidence on my charts for me to be to be sure about such thing. All right, so let's move on to the on-chain as well. Sorry, on-chain as well. Yeah, so the first indicator that we're looking is the short-term holder cost basis. So what the hell is this indicator? It shows the average buy price of Bitcoin for short-term investors. So people who bought the coins in the last 155 days. This level acts like a momentum line in the market. When Bitcoin's price is above this line, it means confidence is high and the market is strong. When it's below, like this pink line that we have here, it means short-term traders are losing money and are more likely to sell, showing fear or weakness. In simple terms, this number tells us who's winning. So whether it's the bull or the bears in the short term. It often acts as, I would say, like a support during bull runs and resistance during bear market. So what's happening now is that recently Bitcoin's price broke above this line, which is bullish sign. The key thing now is to see if it can stay above this line. Right now it's about 113K. Like earlier today, like Bitcoin dipped a little bit near the level, but bounced back quickly, showing that buyers are stepping in. So this bounce means short-term holders are still defending this average cost very much, so which is usually a positive sign for momentum. So if Bitcoin can keep closing above this level for maybe just an extra few more days, like when we settle the FOMC and the whole US deal, it increased the chance that a bullish leg up has actually started. So new all-time high to come. All right, so here's one indicator. Let's also move on to the short-term holder MVRV set score. What this tells us is how much profit or loss recent Bitcoin buyers are sitting on compared to what they paid. It looks at coins held for less than 155 days, so the short-term group. When this number goes high, it means short-term holders are sitting on massive profits. It's often the sign that market get too hot or close to a local top. So when it goes very low, it means the holders are in deep loss. So showing fear and panic, usually near local bottoms. So what we are seeing here, okay, how do you read this line? So they're different colors. So if you zoom closer, it's highlighted in, okay, red, orange. So red is very overheated. So 1.5 SD stands for 1.5 standard deviation. And then we have 1 SD, so the orange dot here, so 1 standard deviation. And then, of course, minus 0.5, that is like a little bit bearish. So let's zoom closer to look at right now. Right now, the set score has bounced off the minus 0.5 SD. So the blue dot here, where is a point, like the market often finds support after fear-driven selling. This kind of rebound usually happens during bull market dips, not near cycle tops. If the score continues to rise toward the 1.0 level, that will suggest stronger bullish momentum building. The 1.5 level is where we get overheated, so the red dots again here. In simple words, like this bounce looks more like a healthy reset inside the bull market, not the final top, basically. Let's also hop onto the third indicator I've got for you guys. So Bitcoin perpetual futures funding rate. What is this funding rate? So it's a small fee that traders pay to each other in Bitcoin perpetual futures to keep prices in line with the real spot market. So here's what it looks like. When the funding rates are positive, it means long-term traders, like those betting on higher prices, are paying short traders. This shows that too many people are very bullish, which can lead to a pullback, because usually that's what happened. There's a magical, like a false magical hand, a hidden hand in the market, and usually the opposite would happen. And when funding rates are negative, it shows short traders are paying loans. That usually happens when there's too much fear, and often sets the stage for a short squeeze or a bounce up. All right, so what's happening right now when we look at the funding rates is that we are near the end, the top of the descending range. So this descending triangle, just like before the last two tops in the cycle. So that means bullish traders are getting crowded, which could cause a small correction or flush out before the next leg higher. In past cycles, local bottoms usually form when funding turned neutral or even slightly negative. So we went below the line, showing the market had fully reset. So while this isn't a sell signal, it's something to watch carefully as we balance both the bull and the bear. And right now, like Bitcoin bulls can celebrate the price is that price is holding above the short-term holder cost basis, which is a sign of strength. But we're not out of the wood yet, with interest rate expected to basically to cut soon and QT coming to an end. Like there are macro tailwinds for Bitcoin for sure. Still, short-term volatility remains likely, especially as funding rates and net realized profit and loss both show cooling patterns. In simple wording, the bull market is still very much alive, but the road ahead couldn't be it won't be so straightforward. So there will be more bumps to come. All right, so that's a lot of data and a lot of numbers. So let's take a little break. So after the break, we're going to do some news analysis. Let's look at what Donald Trump has been saying, and also the what's the deal with AI trading, and how do you manage to make money even when you're sleeping. So anyways, if you guys are interested, stay tuned after the 3-minute break.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking around and welcome back. Let's also look at the how US and basically Donald Trump is the way he's dealing with China, because that's what I promised you guys before we hit that break. So, the trade relation between US and China has long been a roller coaster since quite some time. I would say like since the first term of Donald Trump, so 2018. It started when Donald Trump launched tariffs to fight what he called unfair trade. Things like some like thief stealing the tech, and also false tech transfers and huge trade gaps. So the news that we've got today is that US is going to have a good deal with China. Trump says ahead of Xi Jinping meeting. Like, okay, like if you guys don't know the context, like basically like ever since 2018, Donald Trump's biggest enemy is China. And at first, like the US puts tariffs on steel, aluminium, and later on about $360 billion worth of Chinese goods. China, of course, like fought back with tariffs on like $110 billion of US exports, which shook supply chain and raised prices for both sides. And like these two most powerful countries, when they are on a fight, of course, like us citizens are not going to be enjoying so much. We're going to be in pain. So this actually started, okay, back in 2020. So January 2020, both sides signed what was called the Phase 1 deal. So a temporary truce. China promised to buy an extra $200 billion in US goods. So that's include soybeans, that includes energy, and to protect US companies' intellectual property, but it didn't go as planned. China met only about like 59% of its promise. Problems like the Boeing aircraft prices and disease breakdown, of course, like the pandemic, also had the trade, and then phase two actually never happened before. And the deeper issues like tax assets and subsidies were left hanging. So yeah, I mean, that's what happened years ago. And over the years, Donald Trump has used terror threats like a negotiation weapon, like pausing, and then pulling back. That's, I would say, is really his bargaining strategy, bargaining tactic. And from 2018 to all the way to today, so 2025, he has delayed and changed tariffs like almost 30 times, often after market drops. So I'm not sure if he's like creating all this like tension, all this noise in the market on purpose, but that seems to be his pattern. Like he would start with a really crazy number, send the market to a total panic, that's like creating so much FUD, and then when it like maybe it's time to actually for the tariffs to go ahead, he would just delay, and then the market would kind of be okay again. So I don't get the gist like when people think this like whole tariff thing is actually going through, but it's nice to have some confirmation, because like the two most powerful entities, like two most powerful countries are on the talk and trying to move forward from this. Of course, there's still uncertainty. And China, I would say, they really have changed a lot. Like back in 2018, China relied heavily on US tech, but because the US was kind of targeting China so much, like China went to a point that they are very independent right now. Like their policy made in China 2025, the country built its own AI chip industry and now leads the world in some AI patents. So ironically, the US restrictions may actually have helped China to grow faster and at a more rapid pace. Companies like Huawei bounced back using domestic chips. So China is also tighter with partners like Russia and the BRICS, giving them even more leverage today. So all I'm saying is that things have really changed since 2018, and China has actually grown to be a lot stronger. And the latest update we have from here. So Donald Trump went to Asia, like Malaysia, to have basically meet other countries. So US paused plans to raise tariffs again, and China agreed to ease rare earth export and buy more US soybeans. So both sides are actually cooperating on fentanyl control as well. There's even more progress about the TikTok deal, which could let its US operations continue under new rules. Donald Trump called the talks very constructive and hinted he would discuss the Nvidia's AI chips with Xi Jinping. So of course, the market loved it so much. Like this news happened literally just a few days ago. And we saw S&P hitting new record high and Bitcoin bounce back to higher places over the weekend. Donald Trump right now, he is in South Korea for the APEC summit, where he'll meet Xi Jinping on 13th of October, which is tomorrow. So the tariffs, again, it's not gone. It's only delayed. Like many products still face actually like at least a 30% tariff raise. So the deal could collapse, like absolutely collapse again if Donald Trump is not happy, having a bad day. So yeah, I mean, there's so much back and forth. So if you ask me who is holding the upper hand right now, is it China or is it the US? Okay, I'm trying to be as objective as I could. China has a lot more cards compared to 2018. So China controls 80% of global rare earth supply. And as we have covered that extensively on Roxham TV, that rare earths are really important. Basically, the vital component when it comes to all things electronics. So think your laptop or think your iPhone or all the way to AI chips. So we need rare earths for absolutely everything. And China really does have the card. Like they can control the exports and definitely going to raise a lot of costs for US industries. So they have high leverage when it comes to like AI progress. And China is growing its allies through BRICS. And yeah, they basically China is getting so strong right now. And as for the US dominates in AI chip design. So NVIDIA, AMD, they have really good tech. So China, like in terms of hardware, like AI chips, China still has some catching up to do against the US. Um, there's also the allies. So US has this cause as well, of course, like still the most powerful country among the whole world. So US has its allies like Japan and also the TikTok. Also, TikTok is another class. So speaking of Japan, like they have this rare earth deal with Japan between like US and Japan. So right after the truce, actually just like 2 days ago, or 1 day or 2 days ago. So Donald Trump and Japan Prime Minister, we have a new Prime Minister, actually the first female Prime Minister in Japan. So they signed the US and Japan framework for securing critical minerals and rare earths. Like this isn't legal binding, but is politically powerful. Like it shows a shared goal to cut reliance on China by building the supply chains with trusted parties. And it's not just with Japan, like US signed another deal with Australia actually just a little over a week ago. So that was on 20th of October. US signed a similar deal with Australia, which is another major step in building an allied rare earth alliance. And inside that deal, they're gonna invest like at least like $1 billion within 6 months, and they're trying to secure the rare earth mining and also processing. Timeline that we're looking here is expected to be as soon as 2026, if not maybe gonna have a little bit delay like 2030, because like these things takes a lot of time. And when it comes to rare earth processing, China is really like 10 years advanced compared to the West. So as Bitcoin investor, why do we care about this, basically? Okay. So US and China relations shape global liquidity and risk appetite for sure, because when the two most powerful entities, when they are talking or becoming enemies, that would move the market, like Bitcoin included. Like a trade truce means less tension, so likely going to be more liquidity and weaker USD, which again trigger a risk on mentality, is beneficial for Bitcoin's price. So if the 30th of October, which means tomorrow, if the meeting goes well, the markets could surge, like BTC gonna see a new high. But again, like knowing Donald Trump, like nothing is certain for this guy. Like he could like switch very, very quickly for his narrative. So do expect volatility, especially in the short term. Like if the talks collapse, of course, Bitcoin gonna be in quite painful in the short term, like in the short term, short time frame at the very least. All right, let's move on to some AI trading, which is I won't say the focus of today, but something I find it really interesting, and I've been personally trading with AI and actually winning some money. That is unexpected because like I put in like $1,000 just to see where it goes, and very interesting to see this result. All right, so if you guys don't know what this is, so imagine this. So 6 of the world's smartest AI models, like each with real money to trade crypto, no humans, no back testing, no simulations, just raw live trading for 24/7. And that's what's happening right now. It's something called, okay, this website, if you guys are interested in check out. Actually, I talked about this days ago. Alpha Arena is an experiment by a US AI lab called North One AI, launched actually less than 2 weeks ago. So they first started trading on 18th of October, and that's less than 2 weeks ago. Each of this LLM, they are given 10,000 USDC to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, so all these Bitcoins on Hyperliquid. The goal is to see which LM makes the most alpha, makes the most profit. So every model run on its own, it decides what to buy, what to short, how much leverage to use, and every move is recorded on chain for everyone to see because again it's on Hyperliquid, so everything's transparent. If you guys want to copy trade, you know where to go. They can trade 24/7, use up to 50x leverage, and the whole context runs till the 3rd of November. So today is 29th, so it's going to end soon, but looks like we have a winner already. So if we look at basically the past less than 2 weeks performance, DeepSeek is sitting at number 1. Oh my gosh. Like China's really killing on AI, the whole AI trading thing. All right, so as you remember, all these LLMs started with 10,000 USDC, so right here. And then in less than 2 weeks, DeepSeek managed to at least double that money. Like we reached a high of $23,000. So that's more than a double for DeepSeek. We reached that on wait, when this is like 27th of October. So that's really impressive. Right now, we are dipping a little bit as for other LMs as well, because, okay, maybe the market is crashing a little bit, but it's still in massive profit. Like turning 10,000 to 19,000 as of right now, that's really good in less than 2 weeks. Like, not to mention, there's like peak of $23,000. All right. So that's for DeepSeek. And other second one that come close is Qwen 3. So that's another Chinese LLM model from Alibaba, like if you didn't happen to know that already. So this is very interesting experiment Second one, okay, Quen managed to turn 10,000 USDC into right now 15, like close to 16,000. They reach a peak of how much is this? Oh, oopsie. Oh, how to go back? But okay, like they reach a peak of wait, how much? I can't really see. So more than 20,000, 22,000. So that's really impressive. Another one, this is from Alibaba. And then the third one is Claude. So Claude is from Anthropic. Kind of steady. We are on a dip right now, so it's below the $10,000. But look at the worst performer, ChatGPT and Gemini, like all the way at the bottom. So they managed to turn 10,000 US dollar into 3,000. That's really impressive. That's really something. Like at least we know which LM model to avoid. So why is DeepSeek doing so well? Well, simply because DeepSeek, they have a really good risk control. Like the Sharpe ratio once hit 13.3, meaning it's outperforming 99% of human traders in similar conditions. And why is DeepSeek really crushing it? Because it is not just a chatbot, I would say. It's literally built by a quantum traders, quant traders, right? So quant traders. So if we look at the background of DeepSeek, we are generating 9,000 in profit. The background, so the CEO of DeepSeek, his name is Liang Weifeng. Like he used to actually run a hedge fund called High Flyer, and you can tell that mindset is actually baked in the model. It trades like a disciplined pro, so maybe 20 trades in total per day as a moderate, like a 10x leverage and a very solid diversification across like BTC, ETH, Solana. Under the hood is the reinforcement learning. So it's faster decision making and way less thinking out loud, like ChatGPT. And ChatGPT are and Gemini are doing so bad. Like if you look at the return, are losing 6.5K. The reason why they're doing so bad is because ChatGPT and Gemini, they are built for conversation, like talking to you. And you know how we always joke about this, like if we need a therapy session, just like talk to ChatGPT. So it's really built for conversation, not for trading. So if you guys want the full transparent, just go to Alpha Arena, scroll down, you'll see all the trades being made by ChatGPT and all these like LM. So definitely not copy trade. I'm not copy trading ChatGPT for sure. All right, so you can see where ChatGPT is losing money from. They're trying to long Ethereum and look at the return. So they lost like $121. So all these trades, everything's transparent. Like if you're curious, just check it out. So the mistake that they have is that they are making a lot more trades every single day compared to DeepSeek. They are using slightly higher leverage and they keep getting liquidated. And if you look at the thought process, like how they are performing these trades from ChatGPT, you'll notice that they are thinking a lot. They are talking to themselves. They are hesitating. They are not reacting soon enough. And it's basically you're asking a poet to run a hedge fund. So that's why it is so bad. They just don't have the right instincts or data training for the fast moving markets like the DeepSeek model is, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is from a hedge fund. That's the founder. Okay. That's why it's so good. So what this experiment actually get to show, like let's go back to this chart. Of course, like this is just a experiment. So I'm not asking you guys to copy trade because there's definitely so much risk involved. Like it just showed that AI can actually beat humans at trading. Maybe we're not completely ready for it, but it's basically there's like a model here. Like we have the basic stuff built built in this like LLM, it also highlight a huge shift. Like the Chinese open source AIs are leading the pack, like earning the most return, while the Western one, look at the bottom, how they're turning $10,000 into $3,000. That's very impressive. Like I don't have any words for that. So that's the Western one. If this keeps up, we could see open AI hedge funds. I mean, open source AI hedge funds or copy trading boards with AI, even AI ETFs built around these models. So the next big revolution in finance might not be human traders. It might be AI agents that never sleep. So like, okay, I know I've been hyping you guys. Like I'm reading the chat constantly. How can I copy trade that? I never done that before. I only buy. So okay, it's not financial advice, but there are tools that you can do so. Like there are where is it again? So for example, hypersignals. So there are different platforms. Hypersignal is just one of them because again, everything is public. It's on Hyperliquid. You can literally see how much money they're moving, how much they're earning or losing money. So using bots like hypersignals.ai to mirror its trades automatically. And then I'm using a phone app because I just find it more convenient just to tap a few buttons and then I'll just like copy trades the AI or some of the really advanced traders on Hyperliquid. So that's what I've been using. But the app that I'm using is slightly newer, so I probably not gonna. It's not a good time for me to recommend you guys. I'm still testing it out. So once it get matures enough, I'll let you guys know. But obviously, like this method is extremely risky, like copy trading and AI, because we don't have enough testing. Like at the end of the day, if you look at the chart, we've only been testing since 18th of October. So only seriously less than 2 weeks. So that's a lot of risk involved. So definitely like trade at your own risk appetite. I'm kind of focusing on the bigger picture. So Alpha Arena isn't just a trading game, it's a glimpse into where AI and finance are heading to. So while OpenAI and Google are busy writing essays, DeepSeek and Alibaba are busy printing money. So this is what the AI arms race looks like in real life. It's happening on chain, it's public with real money. If an AI can survive crypto volatility, what's next, right? Like maybe it won't just trade markets, maybe it becomes the market. But that's something, yeah, down the line. Food for thoughts. All right, so more AI news for you guys. As you know, I love AI. So something negative about AI is that AI is really taking our jobs. So there's massive layoffs because of AI, because of humanoid robots, because they're not just tools right now. They are entering our GDP. They are creating this like workforce in our economy. Because this week alone, Amazon is cutting 14,000 corporate jobs directly linked to automation and AI integration. And of course, they're not the only ones. Like, look at this chart. So we have like the recent layoff, UPS laying off 48,000 people, Amazon 30,000, Intel 24,000. So the list go on and on. And what's different now is that AI is replacing white collar work. So think analyst, think consultant, basically more junior office work. And as for humanoid robots, they are replacing blue collar job, like physical labor, like think warehouse or logistics. So the big question is, how fast will this shift happen, and what can humans actually do to stay ahead? Yeah, basically be competitive against AI. We know the trend is happening. More companies are definitely going to join the list. Oh, not this page, but more companies are definitely joining the list. They're cutting more people because of AI. Like with AI, we don't need that much workforce anyway. And there's actually an estimation. The World Economic Forum expects 92 million jobs displaced by 2028, replaced by 75 million new ones, but most require new skills. And the shift has gone from factory robots to AI replacing office jobs and even some creative roles. Like, again, who is being replaced the hardest? Like junior, maybe fresh grads, because they still like the skills are not completely honed, and they much rather use AI instead of having a fresh grad. It makes sense, right? So white collar job, blue collar job, like delivery workers from because Amazon's firing a lot of people, right? And also like freelance and copywriters, because when we do hiring from like basically in crypto, we use a lot of Fiverr or Upwork, but a lot of that workers, like those freelancers, are actually being replaced by AI. And some regions, because of this layoff, is being hit the hardest. Like Amazon, of course, like um, most of the layoffs come from Seattle. But again, this is like a nationwide corporate cuts. It's not limited to one country alone. Like Asia is doing the same. Like Hong Kong is doing the same. We're seeing like banks are firing a lot of that workforce. I think like 30% of the workforce because of AI. Something ridiculous. And on top of that, we have humanoid robots are becoming so competitive. It's becoming so advanced. Like 2025, it really does mark a tipping point because humanoid robots are no longer just prototypes. There are global rollout now, like includes in the industrial, like logistics or even household robots. So especially for China, it's really pushing hard. We have like the new BYD, I think, announced a few months ago. So they target 1,500 humanoids in 2025, and they're right now is trying to scale up to 20,000 by 2026. And one thing about China is that they're really good at scaling up things. So that's one thing. And then we also have new development from humanoid robots. So this is another new brand, Neo, a humanoid robot that folds laundry, tidy up, and also learn over time. So the humanoid robot is getting very competitive. What it means is that they are entering warehouse. I think BMW have been testing out with some humanoid robots as well for building cars, like combining all the components together with humanoid robots. So how can humans stay competitive? All right, the core idea here, just remember, we can't beat AI or robots. Like, there's no way we're gonna be better or more knowledgeable because AI is too intelligent in a way. But you can actually work with them. So I would say the new game is collaboration and adapt, not trying to resist them. Like human wins when AI still struggles, maybe with soft skill or actual creativity, not like AI trying to find a pattern to come up with something similar, but actual creativity that human could come up with. So definitely not trying to compete with AI. I mean, definitely try to compete with AI, but not like against it. Maybe build an AI portfolio, like show you can use tools or automate or create content with AI. So the future, I would say, like belongs to those who learn fast, adapt faster, and think human first. And I would say the era of humans versus AI is really over. It's more like humans with AI. So that's a interesting combo. All right, so that's pretty much all I want to cover in today's show. Last call to action before we end this. So make sure to follow us on Twitter. My Twitter handle is jamjamcrypto_IO. Make sure to follow Roxham TV as well because we have latest updates like every half an hour or something about AI, about the traditional market, about geopolitics. So it's not just like Bitcoin or crypto content. So a lot of valuable valuable information you could get from following Roxham TV. So I highly recommend doing it. That's it for today's analysis. So for coming to you from the Roxham Hong Kong studio, I'm again live from Monday through Friday at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, breaking down the biggest stories in crypto markets and in AI. So if you enjoy the live stream, make sure to hit the subscribe button and catch the next one live. Every single day, we connect the dots between global news and digital assets so you can stay ahead of the curve. Whenever or wherever you're tuning in from, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's show.